Hi, everybody. This is Al Bernstein with another one of my quick hits videos. And this one is a labor of love for me because on this quick hits, I'm going to get to talk about a special night of boxing upcoming on Friday, July 22nd, the 15th anniversary of SHOBOX, the new generation, which, as all of you know, is a series on Showtime in which young fighters get to be showcased, seen in great competitive matches as they make their way toward world title matches. And in some cases on the SHOBOX series, also we've seen world titles being contested. And it will all happen on Friday, July 22nd at Foxwoods Casino in Connecticut. And we will see a quadruple header of boxing. And let's take a look at the card. As you see, Adam Lopez, Ruben Reynosa, they will highlight the card and be the headliners, and three more great fights as well. And it's only appropriate that there's a big quadruple header for this 15th anniversary because the SHOBOX series isn't just about one fight usually on its card. It's about watching several in which you get to see young prospects who are making their way and trying to earn their stripes in the sport of boxing. The series has been remarkable by any standard. And as so often is the case in sports, looking at some numbers helps us really understand how good the series is. Let's take a look at some of the numbers of SHOBOX, and that'll give you an idea of what the series is all about. 66 world champions have fought on the series, which is pretty remarkable. So they have gotten their, in a way, used SHOBOX as a springboard to a world championship. And over 400 matches on the series. And the fascinating thing to me is among those 414 matches, 96 have matched two undefeated fighters. And usually two undefeated fighters right at the cusp of getting ready to contend in a division. So fights that we want to see, fights that need to be made. And it's remarkable that 96 of them were in that category. And many more were fights where maybe somebody had one loss and it was still the exact same kind of a match. And to speak to the competitive nature of the matches and the matchmaking, 150 fighters suffering the first loss of their career, excuse me, in this series. It's really remarkable. Now, to pick some of the moments from this series is almost impossible. There have been so many memorable fights, but two of the more remarkable knockouts in this series that were picked by Steve Farhood, who we'll talk about in a moment or two, who's the analyst on Showtime, SHOBOX, and the continuing thread that runs through all the 15 years of SHOBOX. Steve created some lists of great knockouts and dramatic knockouts in the series, and I'm going to highlight two of the fights just to kind of show as an example of what the series has produced. One of these moments came in May 6th of 2005, and it was interesting, a world title match in which Ricardo Torres was defending his junior welterweight title against Kendall Holt. And the fight lasted all of 61 seconds. And yet, packed into that 61 seconds were three knockdowns, a cut, a butt, an illegal blow, and then ultimately Kendall Holt got off the canvas to knock out Ricardo Torres and win that world title. So it was an extraordinary moment and one of many dramatic knockouts that they've had in the series. Now, a different kind of knockout also made Steve's list of important knockouts and dramatic moments in the series. And that happened in July of 2013 when John Molina Jr. took on Mickey Bay in a lightweight matchup. Now, Mickey Bay, a very skilled boxer, was outboxing John Molina over 9 rounds in this fight and really seemed like he was on his way to a decision win. But John Molina Jr., as many of you know, has huge power in his right hand and always is dangerous. Well, in the 10th round, he was able to hurt Mickey Bay and get a stoppage in that fight, a dramatic stoppage. That was pretty remarkable. It was one of the more exciting moments, I think, that they've had in that series, and also demonstrated the nature that the unexpected is what SHOBOX is all about. Now, all the numbers and all the great fights, of course, that's paramount to the series. But what makes that series really special, in my opinion, are the people that have fashioned it, the people that work on it and make it so special. And I want to mention a couple people behind the scenes before I get to the people that you see on camera. Gordon Hall, the executive producer of SHOBOX, who also has more vast duties at Showtime as he as an executive there, who brings you both the Showtime Championship Boxing Series and, of course, the SHOBOX Series. But he's executive producer of the SHOBOX Series, and that is a labor that is near and dear to his heart. And Gordon has shaped this series. He helped create it, and he is the guiding force behind it. And also behind the scenes, the producer of the show, Rich Gaughan, and also the director, Rick Phillips, have been on this show from the get-go, and they have created, along with the announcers that do the show, a family that presents SHOBOX. And under the leadership of Gordon, it is an amazing family. Now, the men that you are used to seeing on this show are very special. This series, in my opinion, may be the best announced series ever in boxing, in terms of the sportscasters who work on it. And these men are indeed special. Now, for the majority of the series, the two men who announced this series and imprinted it were Steve Farhood, who continues now as the analyst on the show, and Nick Charles. Nick, of course, was a great play-by-play and host on this show. And he and Steve not only became great broadcast partners, but the best of friends. And I mentioned that the SHOBOX group is like a family. Well, when Nick Charles passed away in June of 2011, it was a sad loss for the entire SHOBOX family, and of course for all of us at Showtime, and for the sports world, I might add. And continuing on in that series, the excellence of broadcasting continued, though, because joining Steve Farhood now at the microphone, two men who I have huge respect for. I've worked with both these men, and Barry Tompkins, who does the play-by-play in this series, of course, I worked with for 8 years. He was my partner on the Top Ranked Boxing series at ESPN, another series where we showed up-and-coming young fighters trying to make their way. And Barry is, as you know, one of the most talented play-by-play men in all of boxing, and he's also one of the most versatile sportscasters that has ever sat behind a mic. And his presence on SHOBOX only enhances that series in a great way. And Raul Marquez is, to me, the embodiment of a great ambassador for the sport of boxing. A former world champion, he represents everything about the sport that is good. He was the hardest of workers when he was a boxer, and he works equally as hard at being a good broadcaster. And his insights that he brings to the SHOBOX shows, I think, are special, and he has fit in seamlessly with Steve Farhood and with Barry Tompkins. My final comments on the SHOBOX series as they get ready to celebrate their 15th anniversary have to be directed at Steve. Steve Farhood has been, I think, the heart and soul on the air, especially of this series. He is, along with Gordon Hall and Rick and Rich, he has been with the series from the beginning, and he has made an imprint on this series that I think is the most special that any broadcaster has made on any specific series. And in a few loose moments, the folks at SHOBOX have actually invited me to participate as a play-by-play announcer when I was filling in for Nick or other occasions. And I've had the chance to work on SHOBOX maybe a half a dozen times. And I can only tell you that it's one of the most joyous experiences I've had as a broadcaster. And part of the reason for that is getting to sit next to Steve Farhood. He's a very special guy, and nobody does his task any better than him. And nobody presents boxing any better than the folks that do SHOBOX. So 15 years and counting on Friday, July 22nd. Tune in to see a quadruple header on Showtime for the SHOBOX 15th anniversary. And it'll be a special evening, and it will continue a very special series.